Texans win. It looks very familiar. There's a lot to take away. And now it's time for the
playoffs.
Yes, sirree.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the Locker Room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey. Locker Room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize. Every angle's what we really do. We the source. We the pulse of the city too. Landlocked. Got the game in the headlock. Localize every time. Can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top two and we not too. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days. Opinions to give. We got takeaways.
Playoffs are now inevitable. It is the Locker Room post-game show. I am Landry Locker. We'll hear from DeMeco Ryans in a sec. We'll hear from CJ Stroud. We'll get into the Texans game against the Chargers. A lot of controversy, depending on who you ask. I don't know that either team is too pleased with the officials on either end. It seems like there was an exchange of gifts, perhaps a little bit, a couple days after Christmas when it came to that. But the Texans get the dub. And it's a familiar looking dub. Shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring the video. We have a pick and an opportunity for you, courtesy of our friends at Sleeper. Shout out to them. Best sports app in the game, best DFS in the game. So this game here, it looked very familiar to what we've seen from the Texans during this 8-game win streak. Now, there's different levels to it. There's different events. But for the most part, this looked like what we'd seen from the Texans in their 8-game win streak. The offense gets off to a lead. The defense has to do the heavy lifting. And in the second half, the offense disappears or doesn't resemble what it did in the first half. We saw that. If you look at the big wins during this streak, we saw that against the Bills. We saw that against the Chiefs. And now we see that against the Chargers. And it's just, at some point, it's not a matter of, well, they got to improve this. It's more so a matter of this is what winning looks like. And I think in winning, you're also, if we go by the Van Gundy theory of don't ignore in victory what you would not ignore in defeat, I think we see what a potential loss looks like for the Texans as well with what we see here. But this just kind of is what it is. Now, the thing that I think has been different the last couple of weeks is, while I know he's an easy target, well, I know I'm the last person that is going to be mistaken for a big Nick Caley guy. I really don't think he's been bad the last couple of weeks, where the offense for, what are we going to say, 6 out of 8 quarters has looked bad. I don't think Nick Caley's been terrible. I actually thought Nick Caley got in his bag early on in this game with the third down aggressiveness to Higgins. He dialed up a couple of good play calls. I think CJ Stroud, this was a roller coaster CJ Stroud game. Last week was a bad CJ Stroud game. This one was kind of a roller coaster. And I think you had a mirror image of the situations that both quarterbacks were in. Texans don't have their starting tackles. The Chargers haven't had their starting tackles all season. And even the backup tackles have gone down. And it was quarterbacks dealing with similar situations. Very good start for CJ Stroud. And some throws when the team needed it. But it was kind of an up and down thing. And at times it felt like he was feeling the pressure. Do I think Nick Caley called an awesome game? No. But it's not like the Buffalo game. It's not like the Kansas City game where I can unequivocally blame Nick Caley. I actually think there were some plays that Nick Caley dialed up that maybe he deserved a better result from. Most notably, and you saw CJ Stroud upset with it, Woody Marks, they dial up. I've been begging. I've been asking, hey, let's get Woody Marks involved in the pass game. You've heard me say it 100 times. One of the most successful receiving. I'm impersonating myself right now. One of the most successful receiving running backs in recent NCAA history. Perfect route up the sideline. Probably a touchdown if CJ Stroud puts something underneath it. He feels the pressure from Khalil Mack. He puts too much air on it. it goes out of bounds, or maybe not enough air, and you can see him immediately frustrated. That's not Nick Caley's fault. That's a potential game-changing play where the quarterback did not make the play. So I thought that was a CJ Stroud thing. Was he terrible today? No. Was he great? No. They're able to win, though. They're able to beat a good team and get to the playoffs. So what's next for the Texans now? They sit at home. They fly back from LA, and they watch tomorrow. And if the Jags win, then they'll have an opportunity to ice up. And they'll have an opportunity to sit around and probably not play many other starters next week because the Jags will have clinched the division. Now, if the Jags lose, then you beat the Colts next week, you're the AFC South champs. And that impacts the seeding. But I thought this was a game like from like a standpoint of, can you win this way in the playoffs? I want to say no, but you look at the teams that you're facing, you're not facing any elite teams. Like you're not facing battle-tested teams that are just going to light up the scoreboard. This isn't last year where you had to go to Arrowhead and beat the Chiefs, or the year before where you had to go to Baltimore and beat Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. So as frustrating as this is, like this style that they're playing, as dangerous as it is, and maybe eventually you get burned when you keep playing with fire like this, but the teams that they're facing just don't resemble teams that can just make you pay that much. It's not that there's not anything that you're really scared of when you look up above you at the standings. I still have a healthy respect for Buffalo, but it's just not there. I will say, though, the most frustrating thing for me is the incompetence at the end of the half is embarrassing. I had already typed it out. I didn't even remove it. But in that instance, you get the ball at the 1 yard line with less than a minute left after getting an interception, and you get a first down, and all of a sudden you want to be aggressive and you throw an interception to the Chargers. That's incompetence. And quite frankly, if the most accurate kicker in NFL history makes that field goal, we might be talking about a completely different game. Now, I ended up missing an extra point too. But the manner in which and I say they because I think it's as much to do with DeMeco Ryans at the end of the first half as Nick Caley, the way that they function there is it's one thing, like no harm, no foul. You got away with it, and you've gotten away with it, but they have no feel. And DeMeco Ryans will simplify it and probably say, well, if you question me if I do it here, no. 2 minutes at the 30 against the Colts with 2 timeouts is much different than at the 1 yard line under a minute left, first down, move the chains. Their feel at the end of the half is troubling. And maybe that's something that ends up costing them, but it's troubling. It's extremely troubling. I think 90% of the Gen Z millennials that play Madden can handle the end of a first half better than DeMeco Ryans and Nick Caley. And that was the real complaint there. But outside of that, you got the dub. The defense, your superpower, it shined. God, it would be nice to be able to rest those guys. I almost at this point, I think it would be better for the Texans at this point. And I want y'all to tell me what you think in the chat. Shout out to everyone in the chat. We're almost 1,000 deep. Hope you all had a good holidays. But it would almost be better for Jacksonville to just win the division and let them rest these guys that need rest. You saw Kamari Lassiter banged up. By the way, absolute dog. If he stays out of the game, I don't know that they win. The Chargers immediately tried to pick on Tremont Smith. They got their biggest play of the game for 16 yards, the first play that he went out there for Kamari Lassiter, and then after that, they got a 60-yarder to Johnston. And then I think Kamari Lassiter was like, all right, I got to get back out there. I got to get my ass back out there. And he did. And that's what he's done all week. He's an absolute savage. But it might be time for him to get a week off. Derek Stingley, the oblique injury. I know you got a consecutive start streak going on. It might be time for him to get a week off. Azeez Al-Shire, you banged up again. You came back in there, did your thing. It might be time for him to get a week off. So you can make a case that it'd almost be better for Jacksonville to just win this division. You're not scared to go to Jacksonville. You're not scared to go to Pittsburgh. You're not scared to go to Buffalo. You're not scared to go to Denver. I mean, either way, beggars can't be choosers. But you're going to be in the playoffs no matter what. And that's the beauty of it. Third straight year with DeMeco Ryans in the playoffs. Most wins for DeMeco Ryans during his tenure. It's been a hell of a tenure, regardless of how you feel about the offense. I do think this team feels a lot like last year. I think the weapons are better, though. And I think that Nick Caley, to his credit, did a good job of using those guys early on. And by the way, perfect amount of Nick Chubb today. Maybe too much, honestly. But perfect amount of Nick Chubb today. 19 carries for Woody Marks. Some hard running at the end. Nick Chubb, 1 carry. That might be too much. But he had 1 carry. I think that's about right, maybe. One's okay. 1 carry. But Woody Marks was good, and the Texans get the dub. SNL Reaction Monday will be at the normal time. By the way, speaking of SNL, wow. Playoff edition at Spanky. Spanky's Sharpstown out there in Bel Air. We've been hanging out with a bunch of you. Me and Stoots went there without even telling people, and we saw a bunch of people that have been that have discovered Spanky's courtesy of our remotes. We want to see you there. We're going to be there the 2nd. We're also going to be there the 9th, and we'll be there. We're going to be there a few Fridays this month, but we will definitely be there this Friday at Spanky's. Homemade dough, homemade sauce, and a lot of other stuff. Some good bar food and some excellent drinks, excellent prices. See you at Spanky's Bel Air, Sharpstown this Friday. Let's go to the chat real quick. Shout out to everyone there. And I say real quick, not real quick. We got all the time in the world, honestly. We got all the time in the world because I'm on that
high-grade marijuana called Kush on the streets.
And it's also postgame. That might be TMI.
Swarm.
All right. So Logan Taylor says Landry style points are just win and get in good. This isn't a style point team. This isn't a style point team. Now, I will say this. The style points that I look at is I don't want to see self-inflicted wounds from a team that's limited offensively. I don't expect this offense to look great and fantastic. Matter of fact, that start was great. A 14-point lead for this defense should be more than enough. More times than not, although they did almost F it off. But I don't want to see self-inflicted wounds. I don't want to see the end of the half like we saw where you damn near make it a one-possession game. So now I don't think this was a style point game. You're an underdog on the road in Los Angeles against a good football team. By the way, Justin Herbert is a tough son of a bitch, by the way. He is a tough SOB. Shout out to Justin Herbert. For basically in a similar situation to CJ Stroud, probably worse, honestly, with his tackles. But he went out there and did his thing. Shout out to Blake Fisher, too. Blake Fisher held up all right. They did a good job masking that. CJ Stroud might disagree, but they did an all right job masking that. So no style points here, but self-inflicted wounds, you can't have that. Evan says, fire Nick. CJ was mid. Bad decision. So you still want Caley out. Nick. I'm not going to grab the low-hanging fruit. I thought he was fine, and I thought that the quarterback wasn't great today at times. Evan says, got to be better on O. Jesus Christ, happy we won. Should be happy. And you get Sunday off tomorrow. You get to red zone it, whatever you choose to do. That's cool. Chris says, I had to mute the second half because of Rich Eisen. He is ass. He is the worst play-by-play guy, and he's not even a play-by-play guy. It's a disgrace at NFL Network, and I know he did a lot for the network, but they should not let him do play-by-play. They can find guys on the street. I know some guys that do like games that would die for that opportunity. It's a disgrace to play-by-play that Rich Eisen calls it. He's Al Michaels, he can't hold Al Michaels' jock. He won't be able to hold Al Michaels' jock in 15 years if Al Michaels keeps going out there. He started off the game by saying that Kingston was starting at tackle, and he wasn't. It was embarrassing. And I think it rubs off on Kurt Warner. He doesn't say the down and distance. He pronounces Noel's name right, but then still used a Noel joke. Rich Eisen's trash on the call. He is ass on the call. And it's not like Al Michaels where it's like, okay, we know this guy was great. He's one of the GOATs. He's obviously perhaps on the Mount Rushmore of play-by-play. Rich Eisen's just a guy who's just, I mean, he's just taking away opportunities from other dudes. He's absolute ass. Evan says both throws weren't good decisions, both on CJ when it comes to him. Also says, need Philly to win, go on the road versus Pitt. Yeah, a little Aaron Rodgers action, never hurt anyone. ESG Soccer says, Kaylee sucks. Laster going down. Made me think all hope was lost. We got banged up this week, so we need rest. Also, Rich Eisen sucks worse than Kaylee. He's terrible. He's pathetic. It's a disgrace listening to him call games. It's sickening. I don't even know why he does it. He doesn't need to do it. Like it's not like one of his things. It's just a waste of time. I don't know why he does it. He probably gets off to people telling him he sucks. He was trending early. And I didn't know if he did something crazier outside of just be awful. He might just be one of those like sociopath types who like gets off to people criticizing him. I don't know. Like get out of the booth. I won't talk too bad about Kurt, although I think Rich Eisen rubbed off on Kurt. Kurt at one point was talking about a potential pass interference penalty when there wasn't even a throw. Oh, I think they're going to call holding instead of pass interference. Well, they didn't throw the ball, brother. I mean, you're Kurt Warner. You're a GOAT. You meant a lot to my stepdad. You're like my stepdad's hero. Rest in peace. But good Lord. Frank says there's no elite teams in the AFC. And that's my point. That's my point. Like this sloppiness. And you can tell I traveled to Oklahoma with the weather change. The sniffles are back. But there's no elite team in the AFC. So you can sit here and say, well, you know, like winning games like this is Bo Nix gonna? I think if the Texans get blown out, it's going to be because the opposing defense just blows up this offense, and maybe CJ Stroud makes some mistakes. But even then, like New England's offensive line is effed up. This is not the team to have that problem. You know Jacksonville a little bit. I think they're well coached. I think all these teams are well coached, though. That's the one thing. Like talent-wise, no, but they're very well coached. And they're well coached from top to bottom. So that might be your problem. Can Nick Caley hold his own in that situation? But I think the end of the first half, it's a DeMeco thing. And I'm relatively positive about that. BRD, appreciate you, my friend. He says, how about that Swarm City baby?
Swarm.
Big dub, man. Big dub. Hope you had a good holidays, BRD. Alex says the glazing for the Chargers was insane. Was there glazing? I just thought it was just a bad call. I do think Justin Herbert deserved a lot of love here because he was running for his life and he has a broken hand and he left it out there. So I thought that he deserved a little bit of the glazing, if that's what you're talking about. You says Fisher breakout game. I guess. I mean, there's not too much more. ESG says, how's the ski trip going? Get a tissue, dog. I'll get one when DeMeco talks. For sure. The trip was great. Drove back yesterday at like 10, got in at 4. It was great. Common Sense says Houston should rest their starters next week if the Jags win. Fact. That's a fact. There's no disputing that. There's no disputing that. Let's hear from DeMeco Ryans. DeMeco Ryans at the podium. DeMeco Ryans, he's going to the playoffs for the 3rd straight year.
Playoffs?
Yes, he is. Let's hear from DeMeco. We'll get to the Texans Turf Kings of the Turf. We'll hear from CJ Stroud. We'll hear from you. We'll go through the key moments, and I'll get a tissue. Let's hear from DeMeco Ryans live here in the Locker Room postgame show.
The light is shining bright on the Texans, but that light is really reflective of our guys' belief in the Lord and Savior, our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Like that's what's driven our team, and I'm so proud of our guys and thankful to the Lord for allowing us to allow our lights to shine through Him, and just all praise and honor goes to Him. Just really proud of every person on this team and organization for putting us in a spot to go play in the playoffs. It's what you play for. It's what you work hard for throughout training camp, what you fight in the season for. Is for an opportunity, right, to be in the playoffs and go win it all. So we've earned that. Right? It wasn't given to us. Our guys went out and earned it, and we're extremely proud of everybody for that.
Fast start and the big plays. Was that always the strategy all along, or just something that you guys saw today with the way they lined up?
With the big plays to start the game, it was, just really just great execution, starting with the O-line. We had to shuffle some guys up front with the offensive line. It starts with having great protection. Our guys did a great job there. CJ had outstanding throws, right, to Higgins and to Noel, both rookies stepping up, making, extremely big plays for us to really give us that fast start, get us going with some excellent momentum. That was really, two plays that helped us to be in the position we're in.
You look back, going back to when you all were 3-5, you obviously believe, but what made you feel like this team was special enough to do what you all have done over the last course of the season?
Yeah, I believed in this team because I know what these guys are about. I know how they work throughout training camp when nobody's watching. I know how close our team got throughout training camp and throughout the season. And I know how we just have guys who are true believers, who are unwavering in their faith, guys who come to work every single day, putting in work no matter what being said on the outside, things that really it doesn't matter to us. Our guys continue to work the right way. And that's why, I believe, because I saw the work ethic that those guys pour into it, the coaches, players, staff, everybody pours their all into what we're doing every single day.
Like atmosphere coming into this game. How impressive was it for your team to push through some of the miscues that you all had and still get this win?
It was a really, really good football team. Like going against the Chargers, tough football team, really tough environment. So it got pretty loud in here, hard to communicate. But I like the way our guys continue to battle, no matter what we face. It's just a good football game versus a really good playoff team. All right, we have a really great quarterback who made some big-time plays for them today to allow them to stay in the game. All right, so hats off to those guys for the way they showed up.
Being able to get on the bench kind of turn what was
from my viewpoint, the turning point for our entire season, I go back to our Jacksonville game. Right, for us to be down as far as we were in that game, and to have our backup quarterback Davis Mills, right, to have such a clutch performance to get us into a position to win that game. I feel like that's the game that flipped our season and just showed us, like, no matter what we're up against, no matter who's on the field, if we stay together, stay connected, like, we can overcome anything.
To the players in the locker room now that you guys are playoff bound?
My message to the guys is just congratulations to everyone, because you guys earned this. Like, getting into the playoffs it's not about an opinion or what somebody thinks. Like, you have to earn your way into the playoffs, and our guys played winning football to get us in position to be in the playoffs.
You got the hot start. Is it just basically the flow of the game and just sort of brought everything? Because thought that you just kept putting it Sunday. The flow of the game just sort of bring it back, and then just sort of sell into the game and just had to go back and forth. Finally got control of the game.
Yeah, today you saw the ebbs and flows of the game, right? We were able to get some explosive passes early on them, and then they did a great job of, eliminating those explosives and made us earn it, right? And they did a good job on third down. We didn't get off as much as we would get. We didn't stay on the field as much as we wanted to on third down, so they made some really nice plays on third down, playing aggressive, putting the pressure on us. But we stayed the course. And when it mattered most, like when we're there in the fourth quarter, that's what it's about, closing games out in the fourth quarter. We know we had to run the ball. They knew we had to run the football. And for our offensive line, for Woody to run the ball the way he ran it. And I go back also, I know he didn't have a lot of catches, but you go to DeMeco Collins, right? One of our best players in the clutch time, in the clutch moment, he comes up with another clutch play for us. He closed it out last week versus the Raiders. And then again this week, he shows up in a big moment, making a huge catch to get us across midfield. So it took everybody, and I'm proud of all the guys for the plays they made.
Question. When you look at what your pass rush did, especially Derek Barnett making some big plays that are called.
The defense showed up with another impressive performance. These guys have been playing lights out all year, every single game. But the way the D-line showed up today, sack after sack, it's really putting pressure on the quarterback, getting him down. It was really cool to see Barnett get a couple sacks. Just a lot of different guys got sacks. Barnett, Will, Daniels, Rankins, everybody was involved. Coach Rod has done a great job with those guys all year. We needed them to play big today, and they did.
You talked about the Jacksonville game as a turning point for you guys during the season, but I'm wondering, away from the field, maybe internally in meetings and practices, things that we don't often see, how did this team show you its resilience? Does a moment stick out to you?
Yeah, from off the field, it's not a particular moment that the guys showed me that, this was our turning point. It's just when you see the way our guys show up to work with joy every single day. Everybody enjoys working together. Everybody enjoys just the process of working, whether it's meetings, practice. When guys show up that way with joy, smiles on their faces, excited to work, like, you can accomplish anything. And that's what I see from our guys, and that's why we're here now.
One of the things probably going to get lost is the fact that you had a lot of players today that went down with some injuries, and they were able to gut it out and come back in with Lassiter, Aziz, Stingley, and Ingram. Can you just talk about how those guys were able to push through and wanting to be on the field with their teammates?
Every guy on our team knew what this game was about. Right? We knew this was the game to punch our ticket to get into the playoffs, and our guys, man, they manned up. A lot of guys were dealing with pain, injuries. Guys went down on the field, but like, I go talk to Kamari last week. He's coming out, Coach, there's no way I'm coming out of this game. Like, that's the mindset of all of our guys. It's on the line. We know what's on the line, and they want to be out there to be the reason why we're successful. And when you have young men who have that mindset, that's why I love the guys, because everybody has that mindset. Guys go down, it doesn't matter. Coach, I'm getting back on the field. I'm going to finish this game. And when you have that heart, when you have that passion and desire by your guys, we can go accomplish anything.
Made it to playoffs 3 consecutive times, and one could argue this is the toughest considering the schedule, what you all had to go through. What does it mean to you to be in this position after now it's your 3rd season as a head coach?
Yeah, for me, it's each year is different, man. I mean, it's cool to have 3 years in a row, but I feel like it's about the here and right now. And this moment, I'm more proud of this team because of all the adversity we've had to face and all the things that we've overcome. I feel like we're a really strong team, right? We know we can win in any given way or fashion, and that's why I'm more excited about this team, headed into the playoffs.
You got a ton of contributions from your rookie class this season. You talked about what Jalen, Caden, and what he did for you guys today. Just what does it mean to you to have those young guys step up in a big game like this?
Yeah, our young guys have shined all year. Woody, the way he runs the football, it's impressive to see him. Just the toughness that he plays with every
underrated
single day.
Game by him.
Rookie receivers, they've stayed the course. They haven't gotten a ton of action, the ball to them a lot, but when the ball has came to them, Higgins makes a play every single game, and Higgins and Noel made 2 huge plays today for us to really break the game open.
You always mentioned like the three guys want to go and things of that nature. Obviously, there was a game out there today where the offensive line kind of had certain stuff. What do you think kind of stuff? Certain we can just kind of go on there and get the direction the guys can't get to you.
Yeah, Chargers defense is an outstanding defense. They're a top defense in the league. They did a great job of executing some pressures there to speed us up and make us have to get rid of the football. That's ball. It happens. Right? You're not going to pick up every single thing every time, but I felt like CJ did an outstanding job. Even though he had some picks early, like, he continued to battle. We continued to throw the ball. He continued to make some good decisions with the ball. Like, faced adversity, overcame it. When we needed it most, we still threw the ball there in the clutch moment, and he made an outstanding throw to DeMeco. So I'm proud of the offense for the way they battled all day. All right, thank you guys.
All right, there we go. That is DeMeco Ryans. He mentioned Woody Marks. I thought Woody Marks. I thought Woody Marks actually did a good job and had a good game. The stats don't say that Woody Marks was awesome, but I thought DeMeco. I thought he basically iced the game for the Texans at the end, and I thought that hard running was a big thing. I also thought that he ran a route that, I mean, quite frankly, if CJ Stroud hits him, I think it warrants a touchdown. I mean, honestly, just put some air on it. Don't get too much happy feet, and I think it warrants a touchdown. So I actually thought that Woody Marks played better than the stats, much like I thought the same about Jawar Jordan and Nico Collins last year. Let's go back to the chat here in the locker room.
Swarm.
All right, on Z chat, ESG Soccer says, on the real, shout out to Coach Ryan's 0-3 to 11-5. Yeah, I mean, the 0-3 was self-inflicted. You know, like sometimes there's adversity where you go through injuries and stuff. It was self-inflicted. It could have gone a number of ways. Like there's a few games during this win streak that could have gone a different way. I think there's a few games at the start of the season that could have gone a different way. You lost some games that you could have won. You've won some games that you could have lost. I think it equals out. I think most people thought the Texans would be in the 10-win range. They'd be competing for the AFC South. I think most people thought the Texans were a playoff team. So I think it kind of canceled out a little bit. But yeah, the 0-3 thing, I don't put as much stock in it because I think a lot of it was self-inflicted. I don't think anyone thought that this team was ever bad enough to be 0-3. And I also think the schedule kind of was laid out interestingly to where 3 pretty good teams you lost to. The Jags right now are in control of the AFC South. The Bucks, they're in the NFC South race. And the Rams, I mean, they could be the best team in the NFC. I know they just lost to Seattle. They could be good. So kind of the way that it was shaped out, much like you got to play the Colts late in the season instead of early in the season before Daniel Jones broke his fibula. So I think it kind of equals out a little bit. Mr. Clean 465 says, I'm in H-Town finally. I will be seeing y'all on the 2nd at Spanky's. Let's go Texans. It's playoff time, baby. H is up. Look forward to seeing you. Hope everyone comes through to Spanky's to hang out on the 2nd. We'll be there a few days away. Feels like a Sunday. It's a Saturday though. Manny Johnson, there was some chatter going on in the chat during the DeMeco Ryans. Little bit of thirstiness. Mitchell says he wants attention. Yeah, you can. I don't need attention, brother. I don't know if he just needs like spank bank stuff or something like that. It's a weird. Just give a take. I'll reply to it. I don't know what you want from me, asking about fans and stuff like that. We also got some bottage going on. On the chat though, I did see one that I was going to acknowledge. Where is it? Right here. It's from Manny Johnson. Manny Johnson says, he was mad. I don't know who he is. Manny. He was mad that CJ never actually criticizes CJ the way he criticizes Kaylee. And honestly, that's a fair assessment. Are you fucking kidding me? What? I literally said last week CJ was worse than Kaylee. I've broken down that I don't think that CJ Stroud is elite, and I've actually been easier on Kaylee. So I don't know what you're listening to or what you're talking about. It's a week to week fluid type of thing. But to say I never criticize CJ the way I do Kaylee is crazy. I criticize both of them whenever there needs to be some criticism. And I get a lot of crap from that from people I like a lot in the chat. You don't have to agree with whatever I say. In the chat, some of the biggest viewers, they argue with me on the reg about CJ Stroud. But I don't criticize CJ like I do Kaylee. I criticize whoever I believe needs to be criticized in my own eyes. You don't have to agree with it. But that's just a flat out lie to say that I never criticized CJ Stroud. That's insane. That's insane. On the chat, Curtis says, dog of the day, Lassiter. Yeah, he's going to get some love.
I'm a dog, I'm a dog, I'm a dog.
He's going to get some love. I thought that Lassiter, the impressive thing about Lassiter, it kind of speaks for itself. And the play itself speaks for itself. The numbers line up. You can make a case. I think he was the biggest Pro Bowl snub. But the most impressive thing about Lassiter these last few weeks, you can't keep him off the football field. You heard DeMeco Ryans mention that. And today he limps off the field. And if he doesn't limp back onto the field, I don't know that they win this game. Because you immediately saw that as soon as Lassiter left and Tremont Smith came in, Justin Herbert finds Quentin Johnston for 16 yards, longest play of the game for the Chargers. And that was well into the first half. And then they hit him on a 60-yarder before the Alshire interception, which was batted up by Gatson, who had a rough start. So I thought that was a massive performance by Kamari Lassiter. Spoiler alert, he will be a king of the turf for the reason that I just laid out. I thought it was a hell of a performance by Kamari Lassiter. Now, heading into the game, I thought there were three tests. I thought there were three tests for the Texans for a multiple of reasons. I thought there were three tests. And this was in my notes leading up to the game. We'll hear from CJ Stroud in a second. We'll also get into the sleeper promo as well and the Kings of the Turf. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Keep giving me hell. I'll take it. Just give some substance. Like, say what you disagree with, what the reason is. You don't need to bot it out or anything like that. You just say what you say. Super chats obviously get read, but if you say something that is, I think will add to the show, that's fine. But like a hey, acknowledge me type of thing is just not really gonna do it. Please talk about me. You're not a true fan. Like, come on, bring some substance. Let's be somewhat adults here. We don't have to be too adultish. We can be a little bit sophomore. But there's that. But I thought this was an ultimate test, and let's revisit these tests and let's talk about how they did. Bentley says, why all the unblocked rushers? Because they were playing Blake Fisher at tackle, and they were playing Titus Howard at tackle, and the interior of the offensive line is rough, and the system and CJ Stroud don't coexist. It's the same thing, though, with the Chargers. If I was an offensive line coach and I was watching this game, man, this would be terrible. This would be terrible to watch. Absolutely horrible to watch if you were an O-line coach. But I thought the three tests were this. I thought there were three tests. Not one, not two, but three tests here in the Locker Room postgame show. I appreciate everyone for rolling through. Hopefully you join SNL at Spanky's this Friday. So, number one, I thought it was a test of the Knicks. I thought it was a test of the Knicks. Nick. This was a test of Nick Caserio and his confidence in the offensive line depth. Don't know that they necessarily passed it, but they managed and they made do, and they got off to a good enough start to where they could kind of have a little pillow fight on offense at the end of the game. So you passed the test. You passed the test. You got the dub. There's also a test for Nick Caley. You got to make do with what you got. I thought he did. I thought he had a pretty decent game today. I thought he had a pretty decent game. Wasn't great. There was some predictability. But outside of the end of the first half, and I've said this before, if you missed it, I apologize. I think the first half is as much of a DeMeco thing as it is a Nick Caley thing. That's not an uneducated guess. I actually asked him about the aggressiveness. We'll hear that when we go through the key plays. I thought it was a test of Nick Caley, and I thought it was a test of Nick Caserio, and I thought it was okay. Nick Caley did a pretty good job. Good start. The aggressiveness on third down continued. When you saw that late in the last game, early in this one, but I thought it was okay. It went okay. Do I feel very confident about this for another game? Blake Fisher at tackle? No, I don't. But it was okay. Could have been worse. but it was okay. Blake Fisher. This was a test for Blake Fisher. Can you look serviceable? Didn't happen in camp. And everything that the Texans have shown through all of their offensive line shuffles has resembled that they don't have confidence in Blake Fisher as a starting tackle. It's been the number one thing that they've shown. And they've shown a hell of a lot on the offensive line. They've shown a hell of a lot. Hell of a lot. First of all, Blake Fisher was originally the starting right tackle. They punted on that for a rookie who's really more of a left tackle. Then Cam Robinson got hurt. And what did they do? They moved Ursary to left, and they moved Titus Howard back to the right. And they had Trent Brown come back. What did they do? They put Trent Brown at the right side, and they put Titus Howard back at guard. So everything they've really shown outside of, you can make a case, I guess they showed confidence in him, has been they don't feel comfortable putting Blake Fisher in at tackle. And they actually got by with it. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sit here and say it was awesome. I think like the Seth Paynes of the world will be the ones to be able to break this stuff down. But I thought that they got by with it with Blake Fisher. Wasn't a disaster. You survived. The good start. There you go. So you passed the test. Maybe with the C, but you passed the test. Got a C. This is an A every time. The superpower, the defense. We say this all the time. This was the talk heading into the season. This has been the talk during the win streak. This is the formula, the defense. Sometimes they're asked to do too much. I know there was a little bit of nerves at the end of the game when the Chargers drove down the field and they cut it to, could have been 3, ended up being 4 because Dicker, the kicker, missed an extra point after missing a chip shot. But the superpower comes through. They wrecked this game. Justin Herbert right now, there's no way that he's walking comfortably after that game. He got roughed the F up. And he showed a hell of a lot of toughness. I don't know that there's too many quarterbacks that would have been able to take the beating and make things as interesting as Justin Herbert did. And quite frankly, if I'm going to be fair, and I'm going to say that this guy last week, Jawar Jordan and Nico Collins, played better than the stats, and talked about Woody Marks this week. Justin Herbert did too. That throw to Arondé Gadsden was right in his hands, and he dropped it. There was another one where he made an elite play at the start of the second half. I think it was the first drive for the Chargers coming out of the half, and Gadsden dropped that too. I thought Justin Herbert was great. But great wasn't going to be good enough because of the superpower. You have the best corners and you have the best edge guys, and they have a depleted offensive line. It's not a recipe for success. You can't have self-inflicted wounds. You can't drop passes inside the 5. You can't have the Pro Bowl kicker miss chip shots. You can't have the Pro Bowl kicker kick wide. You can't have that. So that was the test of the superpower. So there's 3 tests. All of them passed. Some of them you might feel a little bit miraculous or feel good about passing. Some of them you might be a little bit more nervous about. But I thought it was a good game all around for the superpower, and I thought it was a good job by Justin Herbert. I actually thought he played his ass off and went down kind of like a warrior. I thought he did his thing. We'll go through the key moments in a sec. Let's go back to Z Chat here on the Locker Room postgame show.
Swarm.
ESG Soccer again says, we know CJ can be elite, but we definitely don't know about Kaylee. I argue with you about CJ. KL, top 5 most important due to replacement refs bunts. Yeah, Lassiter, you can't lose him. He's too important. Not just in coverage, but at the line of scrimmage. He needs a week off. I really do think the Jags just wrapping up the division, it'd be fine. He needs a week off. You might not even need him against the Colts if we're being honest. But he needs a week off. Division would probably be better. But I think you can look at it positively either way. I think it's a win-win. I think the Colts-Jags game is a win-win. I'm sure there's some people who say, hey, we need rest. I don't care if we have to go to any of these teams' places. We need rest. There's also a case to be made, well, you want to win the division. I don't disagree with either. I think it's a win-win. Either way, you're in the playoffs, ice up, whatever. But yeah, Kamari Lassiter he got snubbed the Pro Bowl. I thought he did a good job. Wesley says, I'll be honest, I don't know who's more at fault or if it's both of them, but I sincerely feel like CJ's not it, all caps. I like the kid, and I obviously was high on him after his rookie year. What does not it mean? Like, you don't know that he's elite? You don't think he's good? Like, do you put him like, I would say right now, CJ Stroud's in the Brock Purdy, Trevor Lawrence, Bo Nix area. I would say that's where he is right now. And that's where he was. And I would venture to say that there's probably people who feel he's at the top of that. There's people who feel he's at the bottom of that. I think he's good. But I mean, like the top elite tier, no, he's not there right now. And there's logical reasoning to think maybe he doesn't get there. Honestly, there's one guy there at this point in the playoffs. And this kind of goes back to the conversation about this year's playoff field. There's no Mahomes. There's no Lamar Jackson. There's a Josh Allen. Josh Allen's playing as good as anyone. Outside of that, it is what it is when it comes to that. Like you look at the quarterbacks that are in the playoffs right now. Drake May is playing great. His offensive line is what it is. Bo Nix, you never know what you're going to get. Trevor Lawrence, okay. Aaron Rodgers is old. Josh Allen's good. And then you have Justin Herbert. So when Mahomes and Lamar Jackson are out, typically you want to win the quarterback matchup. I don't know that like at the peak of the Chiefs, CJ is going to go out there and go toe-to like outplay Mahomes or outplay Lamar Jackson. And we haven't seen him and Josh Allen play in playoff situations, but you list the quarterbacks and it's like, okay, like maybe it's just a different time. Like it's weird. It's weird and it's weird because you're used to him chasing that tier, and then you kind of gather yourself, and sometimes you kind of just forget. Okay, these are the quarterbacks in the playoffs. So I feel what you're saying. MH Weed Nation says, I just hope Ariante doesn't have a sophomore slump like Fisher. I don't think Fisher was ever as good as Ursery. So I get what you're saying, but I don't think he was ever as good. And he was kind of like the swing tackle. So, yeah, I wouldn't bet on that. But of course you feel that way. Patty says, I'm glad I'm not a Chargers fan. That game was ugly, especially going to the playoffs. Man, if you're a Chargers fan, I think this is a good point, Patty. Because I was thinking about this. I was thinking about this when I was walking out. And this is what I've just always done whenever like covering the NFL for 20 years, whatever, however long it's been. I always wonder like what they're saying in the other city. And I'm imagining Chargers fans are saying, we didn't get calls. Although I thought the calls were ass on both ends. I think there were a few gifts. I thought that the roughing the passer that they called on the Texans was BS. Or that they called on the Chargers was BS. I thought there was one of the illegal contacts that they called on the Texans was BS. And then the illegal contact on the Chargers when they got the sack was probably a little bit BS. It does feel like the refs are kind of thirsty to throw flags on third down illegal contact. Because I would bet that happens on every play. But I would imagine that's what they're saying with the Chargers. Our kicker missed our all-world kicker makes his field goals, and it's a tie game. Our offensive line sucks. Blah, blah, blah. But yeah, that would suck. That would be a tough L to take. Neo says, what's a fair contract for Stroud if you plan on to keep him around? I mean, you don't have to plan to keep him. You don't have to pay. He's got 1 year, and spoiler alert, the 5th-year option will get picked up. So I don't know that you have to do a contract. If they decide to negotiate, I think somewhere around Purdy, somewhere around what Purdy got at this point, maybe. I'm not sitting here saying that he's better than Purdy. I'm saying that's like probably the cost of business. Don't know. Paul says, I like the balance between Woody and Jordan in the first half. I like the balance between Woody and Jordan, period. Like, I thought at the end of the game when you were up 7 and you're looking to make it a 2-possession game, I thought that the way in which Woody ran the ball and then Jordan had, I think they had a 5-yard penalty and then Jordan had a 10-yard run. I thought it was perfect. I thought this is what the mix is going to look like at running back. Like the Nick Chubb thing, it's done. Jawar Jordan and Woody Marks are your backs. And quite frankly, if you have those two guys and then you add like a stud, whether it's a day 2 guy or a free agency, you could be cooking at the running back position. You know how I feel about that. It's a conversation for another day. Draft day, to be exact. Tayswell says, my in-laws are still here. I'm actually losing my mind. It's day 6. Thank God for Landry for giving me a break. 6 days? Good Lord. That's a long-ass time. I just saw so what I do, I drove up to my mom's the 23rd. We spent Christmas there all day. No, actually, we woke up, we did Santa the 23rd, went and covered practice, drove up to my mom's up north for Christmas Eve, spent Christmas Eve there, woke up in the morning, drove up to Oklahoma, had a Christmas, went home, slept, woke up yesterday, had a Christmas. These are big ass Christmases. And then we had another Christmas up in Oklahoma on my wife's side at 6. I got here this morning probably about 3 o'clock. But I at least got to move around. You're stuck in the house with the in-laws, man, that sucks. I'm sure they're nice people. 6 days is a lot. That's a lot of pressure. I know Tayswell's a stressful guy. Jay Richardson says, Will and Hunt sack formula stays true. Bring it up. Yeah, they didn't have a full sack, though. They gave Will a half. It would be 9-2, I think. But I guess we can count the half. But I've been saying full sack. But yeah, they did their thing. And quite frankly, Will Anderson was wrecking that game. Like, he was forcing Justin Herbert to run for his life. They were avoiding that big bastard. I didn't even think he was offsides on the penalty too. If we're talking about refs, I thought he timed it perfect on that. Like, even the replay kind of showed that, but Rich Eisen didn't paying attention, but I actually thought Will Anderson, again, beyond the stat sheet, I thought he was damn good too. I thought he was damn good too. For sure. No doubt about it. Sean on Z chat says, can we please shout out to our rookie snapper? Austin Brinkman. I like him. Good dude. Yeah, he's doing a good job. You don't call a snapper's name. You don't do it. But I will say this. I'm still a John Weeks guy. John Weeks is still my dog. Pro Bowler John Weeks. How about that? John Weeks goes to San Francisco, Pro Bowler. My guy. Let him know the other day. Congratulations. But yeah, he's doing a good job, Brinkman. Evan says, I think Stroud can be elite at some point. It's early. I mean, if Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield can change their trajectory, that was a tough word for me to say, then CJ Stroud can. Evan says, how did the Zebras miss Tart punching Schultz? They did, but Schultz, you can't get up and push someone, man. You got to chill out. That killed momentum. You could have had you were on the brink of a 3-possession lead there, which the Chargers weren't overcoming. It wasn't going to get interesting. Schultz has got to be better there. And then he had that fumble on the screen. Dalton Schultz the last 2 weeks has looked like 2024 Dalton Schultz. Kind of an under the radar type of development, but it's happened. Let's be honest. It's happened. Something else that's happening is Sleeper is taking over the Sports Act game. A lot of you know that. If you haven't tried Sleeper, Use my code. Just put $5 in your account. Put $10 in your account, and it's going to turn to 20. It's going to turn to 20 when you use my promo code Locker. My dad's on it. My dad's on Sleeper. Most people are on Sleeper. Aronde Gatson screwed me on our picks this week because he decided to actually catch a ball late in the game. But if you download the Sleeper app, it's the best scoring app you can use. It's the best DFS. It's a very simple concept. For example, CJ Stroud, 230 passing yards. You say higher or lower, and you pick as many combinations as you can, and the odds increase as you do it. I'm actually going to have a Sunday night pick for you on Sleeper, and you can actually win $100 extra in your account. But if you haven't tried it, really, the Sleeper app, I promise you, you will not regret it. $5, turn it to 10. You can just do dollar games. But it's a fun thing, and it is something that you should definitely try. Strong recommendation. This week's community pick is going to be, and this is tomorrow. We got to watch the Colts. So this is going to be the community pick tomorrow. I'm going to go Jacoby Myers over 56.5. He's been solid. He's been very solid. Quinn Ewers, I don't know how he's in the NFL. 208.5 yards. Seems a little bit high, especially with Todd Bowles blitzing him. So I want to take the under on that. Lower, I should say. And then Phillip Rivers. Yeah, that was cute on Monday. I just don't think he's going to get 200 yards again, especially against the Jags defense. So lower for Phillip Rivers, lower for Quinn Ewers, and higher for Jacoby Myers. All you got to do, you can put $1 on this, and you'll win $6 when it hits. And you just got to send the screenshot to hmasleeperpicks@gmail.com. That's hmasleeperpicks@gmail.com. Winner will get $100 to add to your account, and you should already be taking advantage of Sleeper. It's the best. Really is. Wouldn't say it if it wasn't. Really wouldn't. Really would not. Let's hear from CJ Stroud. How about that? We'll get to the Turf Kings. Spoiler alert, CJ Stroud, not a Turf King today. But we'll hear from CJ Stroud. Let's hear what he has to say. Live on the Locker Room postgame show. Take it away, CJ.
It's all good. I ain't tripping. We need to see my family faster.
What does it mean to be in this position, considering what y'all went?
Yeah, man, it's just a testament to the hard work. I think, to how, we were built from top to bottom, from our ownership to Nick Caserio to DeMeco to, me and all the, Daniel, Will, and just how our team is built. We're built tough. We're not perfect, but I think, we just try to find a way to win each week, and I think I was never kind of worried just because we weren't getting blown out by anybody. We just weren't finishing games. And I think things are going to happen on Sundays. We're going to give up points. We're going to turn over the ball. It's just how you respond. I think our response from, that time where we were 3-5 on, we responded to those situations better.
It was kind of like a turning point, and you guys were able to kind of jump, just that one impact to help you kind of get that. This type of work streak, this type of work.
I think honestly it goes back to consistency of practice. Practice being, really hard, and DeMeco pushing us, and making sure that we're getting the right looks, and when we're not, he lets us know. So it's good to get led by somebody who wants and demands excellence, and he's hard on us, but I think that ultimately helps us to in these type of games to finish out tough wins like that. But I think it goes back to practice.
Did y'all see in the Chargers defense that allowed you all to hit early on those couple of explosive plays in the first play?
Yeah, I mean they played really a solid shell defense, and kind of like the way the league is going on defense is like they're playing too high shell. They're trying to take away your best guys. So we kind of knew that, and came up with some good plays and designed some good plays just to pick on that. And got to keep that going. It can't just be in the first quarter. Got to be.
He talks a lot about
something we can learn from is is just keeping the gas on and making sure we're still calling it. I'm taking care of the ball, and we're moving forward.
What's the thing you're most proud about this season? When you got started, you got right now. Most proud of this season?
I think I'm most proud of how we stuck together as brothers, sisters as well. Everybody in our facility, we stuck together. When I was in college, we used to have this term called Ohio versus the world. A lot of times in this league and, in games, and it's just how the world is. People turn their back on you, or, they start talking crazy and just doing whatever. But, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what's happening on the outside. I thought when, people were trying to divide us and, try to pick on one person or one thing or whoever, we had opportunity to stick together. So I thought, that's what, this year has been for me. And that's where I'm most proud of is just in that time we stuck together, and stayed one because we could have easily splintered off. And I think the season would look way different.
At what point did you know this team maybe has something special?
Training camp. It's just, I don't. If you look at the NFL, every game almost comes to one score. And, just because it wasn't going our way for 3 weeks in the beginning doesn't mean it's not going to go the rest of the week. Like, what if we would have won out? Like, that was our mindset every game, just one game at a time. And that doesn't mean, like, the urgency wasn't up. The urgency is up every week. But I think, for us to, be able to, take it one game at a time is why we're in the position we're in.
To get this win here today, how good does it feel to win an 8th game in a row, secure that playoff berth, especially with your teammates knowing the adversity that you all came through?
Yeah, man, it's dope. It's a blessing, to be, able to go to, the playoffs for 30 year in a row for me. And it's funny because it's something that me and Will talk about a lot of, like, we don't want to just get used to this because, and of course, yeah, you want to get used to not like that, but in a sense of like, it takes a lot of hard work to get here. So like the work needs to be put in. It's not just every year, the Texans are stamped to go to the playoffs. That might be the outside noise or people might have it the other way, but what really matters is the work we put in. And so just not getting used to success. So, when that time comes, you're still grateful, still, thankful for all those times because, it wasn't great at first, but, as we kept going, I think for me, my gratitude has gone up to another level because, technically we weren't supposed to be here.
CJ, talk about the contributions that the rookies had, Jalen, and Woody kind of close the game out. What that means to you.
Yeah, I think, for, those guys that come in, to, be taught by C. Kirk, Neek, J. Watt, Hutch, and to learn and want to learn and be coachable, help their, early on in their career. They made 2 big plays for us and honestly more in the run game, blocking, so, I mean, but I think it goes back to O-line. I thought O-line played great. None of us are perfect. We make some mistakes and you got to get those things fixed. But, it's all about winning these hard games because it's going to come down usually to one score. You can't put your head down. And even if you do, you got to snap back fast. So I thought, our rooks have done that. Our vets, we just come together as one in that moment. Thanks.
All right, there you go. That's CJ. Not the greatest game, but good in stretches. I would say he's got to be better. It wasn't as bad as last week, I guess, but I don't know. It goes back to the playoff field and just kind of how it's laid out. So that's kind of where we're at on that. Let's go through the key moments here on the post-game show real quick. I thought Nick Caley's aggressiveness, it continued. And you saw Higgins on the 75-yard TD. It was a 3rd and 1. They ran the ball twice, and then they had a perfect play action. He was wide-ass open. C.J. Stroud kind of been up and down when it comes to connecting with Higgins. Actually has had better deep ball chemistry with Knoll. Pause and stay tuned. But the Texans take a 7-0 lead. And I thought Nick Caley deserved a little bit of credit there. God knows if it wasn't good, I would have criticized it. I thought he deserved a little credit there.
Nick.
Came out strong. Did his thing. And props to the running backs for getting the 9 yards right off the top with the runs. Then right back, Iowa State teammate Jalen Knoll. We've been asking for Jalen Knoll. We've been begging. Jalen Knoll, when's it going to happen? Well, right there, 14-0 lead. Jalen Knoll, 44-yard TD. Makes it 14 blank. Texans. And all of a sudden, you're feeling pretty good. Like, is that going to be enough to win the game? Spoiler alert, it would have been. That's really all that you needed. The Texans were basically right there. It's not, you didn't need a complete effort. You needed another 7 points after this, but that lead was not going to be overcome. And they got off to that lead, and I thought Nick Caley was in his bag early. I'll give him credit. I thought he did a good job. It was a good start. Now the second half, beggars can't be choosers. But It wasn't good. And then I thought that as the Texans were in control of this game, I thought there was a two-piece combo of momentum killing. And these are the things that the Texans are going to have to avoid in the playoffs. You're going to have to avoid these things in the playoffs, these type of moments.
Playoffs?
No, there was a two-piece. Number one, Dalton Schultz, I get it. The guy hits you in the face mask. You got up, you pushed him. You got to chill. You're up 14-0. You're near midfield. You're a veteran. And you get up and you blatantly push the guy. The guy was trying to swipe at the ball. It was stupid, but you know better than that. There was a little bit of a flop, but you got to chill. Because this pushes you back 15 yards. As a result, the drive completely stalls. The offense had looked flawless at that point. And this killed momentum. A 3-possession lead, they're not coming back from. 2 possessions, even tough as well. But I thought that was a boneheaded play by a veteran in Dalton Schultz, regardless of what happened. You weren't hurt. Was it a little goofy? Yeah. Should the refs have maybe seen it? Yeah. But when you get up and blatantly push somebody, I mean, what do you expect them to do? I thought that was a boneheaded play by Dalton Schultz. And then you had number 2, Derwin James, INT, gave the Chargers a pulse. Bad throw by CJ Stroud. But the Texans defense, the superpower, they held the Chargers to 3. Bend don't break, 14-3. So still a 2-possession lead. Scary moment in the second. Kamari Lassiter leaves the game. We know he's been banged up. We know he's been playing hurt. But Kamari Lassiter leaves the game. And immediately, Tremont Smith gets picked on. But the Texans defense holds. Azeez Al-Shire gets an INT off the hands of Gadsden, and it ends the threat. And the Texans are up 14-3. And at that point, you're thinking this way. They're at the 1-yard line. Get a first down and get your ass to the house. This isn't the same as Indianapolis where you have 2 minutes or whatever, 2 timeouts, and you get the ball at the 30, and the game's kind of playing out a different way where they're kind of moving the rock. This isn't that. This isn't the San Francisco game where you're in good control. The end of the first half has been a problem for a long time. I think it's as much of a DeMeco thing as it is a Nick Caley thing. We talked about the third down earlier. Well, I asked Nick Caley about third downs and end of halves. So let's just kind of revisit, because I asked him this week and it was very relevant. Fortunately, they were able to escape with a dub. But I asked him about the communication and the balance that goes into that, and I'll be damned, it kind of played out today.
What goes into aggressiveness on, like, say, third and long, couple third down plays paid off for you this week? What is that a collaborative thing, like whether it's at the end of a half or anything, or is that just like you can decide, or is that something you and DeMeco talk about?
No, I think in situations, we're always talking situations. The situation in the game is at end of half. We're always going to be communicating. So, if it's normal down and distance, if I'm asked a question, we'll speak on that. But generally speaking, when it comes to situational end of half, anything that would pertain to a situation in the game that's a non-normal situation, then we'll communicate that. DeMeco does a great job of always communicating.
Okay, so here's my question. And I don't function like a simp. Like I don't function like a simp when it comes to the manner in which these situations play out. I immediately say what I think should happen, and I think there's a natural feel that the Texans kind of lack at the end of half. So we don't have to revisit the Colts thing because it was pathetic. But this was even worse. So you're in a 14-3 game, and you get an interception on the 1-yard line, and there's 1:06 remaining in the game, or in the half. There's 1:06 at the 1-yard line. You run the ball for 2 yards, and the Chargers call a timeout. You're immediately thinking, okay, you can't, you hope you don't have to punt to the Chargers. If you do, you hope you hold them to 3, worst case scenario, but hopefully you're able to figure some stuff out. Then Woody Marks runs the ball for 20 yards, and at that point, you can take it to the house. So he runs it for 20 yards, and at that point, there's 102 left, and you're at the 22-yard line. You're at your own 22-yard line, and you decide to throw? So you were going to try to go 99 yards or how much ever you need to get to field goal range, let's say 35. You were going to try to go damn near 65 yards in a minute for what? Why? And I'd already put this. The reason this is up is because I'd already put this. I said, Mark's 20-yard run takes it to the house. But the Texans' lack of feel at the end of halves, it hits a peak. And they give the ball back to the Chargers, but stuff gets extra wacky. Stuff gets extra wacky. You have the Stroud interception. After that, an Autry 30-yard penalty. And I say 30-yard penalty because it would have been a 15-yard sack. They call a trip, move it up 15 yards, basically a 30-yard penalty. And then Dicker, the kicker, misses a chip shot after they're talking about how he's the most accurate kicker in NFL history. So self-inflicted wounds cancel out dumb-inflicted wounds. Charge it to the game. 14-3 is about what it was supposed to be. So the Texans get lucky there. And the Gatson drop too, which I didn't even really harp on. Then Gatson stays on the payroll at the end of the first half. First half, it's always crucial how they're going to react. How the offense is going to come out. Gatson stays on the payroll. He drops a pass on a pretty heroic play by Justin Herbert. But he drops the pass, and the Texans are able to force the punt. Then another, like, we talk about Nick Caley, and God knows when he sucks, and it wasn't great. But Nick Caley calls a perfect screen to Dalton Schultz. It looks like Dalton Schultz is going to get 15, 20 yards. He fumbles out of bounds. So the guy who killed the momentum with the penalty, he fumbles out of bounds, and all of a sudden it's like, damn, Dalton Schultz, he's been good this year, but he's looking a lot like the 2024 version lately. He fumbles. Then we kind of have a little bit of a pillow fight back and forth. But the Texans do get a field goal, and they make it a 14-point game. And the Texans, on a Fairbairn 40-yarder, they make it a 14-point game. But then Justin Herbert goes complete hero. And this was a badass effort by Justin Herbert. And this was a hell of a display of toughness by Justin Herbert. Third downs in bulk from Justin Herbert. Like some of those plays that I don't know which one was more impressive. He had the run where he goes in truck mode, and then he had the play where he gets completely, looks like he's about to get taken down. He makes the throw, and they cut it to 17-10. And all of a sudden, you're like, okay, can the Texans offense, what do they need to do? What do they need to do to win this game? At this point, it felt like 3 points. You're probably good if you go up 10. And then the Texans run game, credit to Woody Marks and Jawar Jordan, the run game extends it to 20-10. And the Texans take the 10-point lead that they needed. Now, I'm going to confess something, and I don't know what this says about me. I don't know what it says about the QB, but I'm just going to confess.
Watch this. These are my confessions.
On the 3rd and 5, once they got in field goal range, I wanted them to just run the ball and kick the field goal. Now, CJ Stroud ended up getting pressured. He got rid of the pass, kind of sailed it over Noel's head. Some people will say conservative. I don't know. Maybe I just didn't trust the pass game. Maybe I was scared that CJ would throw another pick. Maybe I don't trust the offensive line to pass block. But on that 3rd and 5, I was saying they should run the ball and kick the field goal. They threw it. They ended up kicking the field goal. But the Chargers marched down, and it looks like it's going to be an interesting game. They score, but then they miss the extra point, which means they now got to score a touchdown to win the game. Field goal will not tie it because one of the best kickers has missed 2 kicks. And if he makes those 2 kicks, it's a tie game, and there's a little bit of pressure on the offense. I don't think the offense was ever fully pressed today. They haven't really been fully pressed yet to where it's a must do this or lose type of situation. It's been a while, it feels like, since that's happened. A little bit of pressure, but not like they're losing and they got to figure it out. It'll be interesting to see how they handle that situation because it'll happen in the playoffs. But then the ref show kind of takes over. You have a strange roughing the passer penalty on the Chargers. You have illegal contact penalties on both teams that are just really, really strange. And the referees kind of take over. But the Texans end up getting the dub. And the run game again, Woody Marks. We talk about Woody Marks and Jawar Jordan getting them in field goal range at the end of the game. The 4-minute offense, which is going to be important for this defense, for this team that is so one-dimensional on the defensive side. Woody Marks seals it. The stats weren't great, but when they needed a 2-possession lead, or they needed to end the game, Woody Marks was there and he did his thing. So the Texans seal the win with Marks moving the chains. And there you go. Playoffs. They're here.
Playoffs?
Yes, they are. All eyes on Jacksonville and the Colts tomorrow. Good news, if Jacksonville loses, you got a chance to win the division against the Colts next week. Good news, if Jacksonville wins, you got a chance to rest guys that need rest against the Colts next week. Win-win situation. Some will say, well, the lower seed goes to Pittsburgh. Does that scare you? I don't think so. I think that's where they're going. I think Kamari Lassiter at this point, I don't know if he plays no matter what. They might try to sneak Tremont Smith in, but they tried to pick on him, and that did not work. Biggest takeaways. Outside of damn, that travel kicked my ass. Biggest takeaways. I'm about to go eat some pho. Y'all like pho? Pho's all right. I didn't have a choice. But the biggest takeaways are this. This is 2025 Texans football. That's takeaway 1. This is Texans 2025 football. It's 2025 Houston Texans football. That's what it looks like. You've seen it. All these big wins, they look the same. The offense disappears in the second half. The defense holds on. There's a break here or there. You take advantage of your opportunities. It's situational. This is 2025 Texans football. By the way, go back to the first 3 weeks. Same thing, just unable to take advantage of it. The offense fumbled it away in 2 of those 3 losses. So this is it. This is it. Like this hope that they're going to be a well-oiled machine. Now, this is the recipe. This is what it looks like. There's no world beaters, though. So that's the good news. But this is 2025 Houston Texans football. We know by now. We have a full season sample size, at least old school. Now we got the extra game. Don't know how much they're going to care about it. But this is 2025 Texans football. Kind of say we saw it against the Raiders last week. Takeaway 2, the Superpower carried the torch. They did their thing. The defense is a really good defense. They did their thing. And then takeaway 3, the end of the half was comical. That's 2025 Texans football too. They have no feel. And by they, I mean DeMeco and Nick. They have no feel. It's comical. It's not great. And the next one, both teams got late Christmas gifts. Both teams got late Christmas gifts. Big time. Derek says pho is mid AF. A lot of people feel that way. I think when you get a cold, it's all right? I guess the cold will do it. I don't know. I'm gonna eat it anyway. Hopefully my wife's not listening. Like, yeah, you can't have this. I'm gonna go get it. I'm not trying to get full right now. I'm trying to get hydrated and rest. Late Christmas gifts, though. The refs helped both teams. The Chargers self-inflicted mistakes, and then CJ kind of gave them some gifts too. So Christmas gifts. Let's talk about Texans Turf. Shout out to Dan the man. He is my guy. And he's done great things for my backyard. I'm going to light the fire tomorrow. Maybe tonight. I don't know if that's good for the cold, but you know what? I don't care because I like my turf that much. If I have a cold, I don't care. I want to go put my feet on my Texans turf after being out of town all this time. I'm going to get to cover the playoffs once again, and I'm going to go celebrate by going in my backyard with my Texans turf, always green, always clean, no mud, no insects, got the fire pit, the drainage, all that is there. Whether it's a job like mine, big baller job, playing service, putting green, he's got you covered. Dan is the man. I shopped around for you, and he will take care of you like he has so many viewers in the Houston football community. In the spirit of Texans Turf, we do the Kings of the Turf. God, I need a nap. The Texans Turf, Kings of the Turf. We have 5 today. Turf King 1, Will Anderson. I thought Will Anderson had Justin Herbert running for his life, whether it was shifting to the other side, whether it was run, whether it was pressure, whether it was a sack. Will Anderson played his ass off. He was good. He's Turf King 1. Turf King 2, this guy actually had a sack. Derek Barnett. Derek Barnett not only had a sack, 2 sacks, he had sacks on consecutive plays. He's got that grown man strength. Derek Barnett doesn't mess around. He doesn't mess around. So Derek Barnett, number 2. Number 3, I got to put these guys together. I bet these guys get kind of tired of getting lumped in together, but that's what happened. Jaden Higgins and Jalen Knoll. Turf King 3. Turf King 4, the dog. The Georgia Bulldog and the dog.
I'm a dog.
Kamari Lassiter. If he doesn't come back in the game, do they win? Or do the Chargers keep picking on Tremont Smith? I want him to rest up. He needs to. DeMeco said he's not coming out of the game. You got to take him out of the game next week. They need that guy. Give him a week. Give him a little built-in bye week. Kamari Lassiter, Turf King 4. And Turf King 5, Woody Marks. Not the best of stats, but Woody Marks moved the chains. He got you that 2-possession lead. He iced the game. He actually ran a route that probably warranted a touchdown if CJ Stroud puts it on him. Woody Marks played good too. And no more Nick Chubb, which is not a bad thing at all. Join SNL live at Spanky's January 2nd. Once again, that's in a few days. We look forward to seeing you there. Reaction Monday is going to be at the normal time on Monday. Q has some advice. He says, get some hot steam and clean your nasals and some chicken soup, brother, and plenty of rest. Oh, I actually get to rest. You don't rest when you go on the road, especially when you're going from city to city and you drive back yesterday at 4 a.m. or whatever it was. So, yeah, I got that. And trust me, I got all the concoctions. I got it. On the chat, before we get the hell out of here, ESG says, sisters, Kaylee Shots, LMAO. Also, we all watch CJ have the best rookie season ever. He doesn't suck. He's had 3 totally different offenses in 4 years. Yeah, I don't know if does anyone think he totally sucks? I don't think so. Everybody's giving me the concoctions. I appreciate it. X says, y'all hating on Schultz, but to be honest, he has more first downs. Schultz has had a good season. He's been bad the last 2 weeks. It's that simple. He's a polarizing guy because of how he performed last year. Marlo says, Jags are going back to poverty for another 5 years after this season. It's definitely going to get tougher. The schedule will get tougher for them. Neo says refs suck both ways this game. Fact. The CMAC says who in the AFC is beating us? Look, Texans can beat or lose to any of these teams in the AFC, which is a good thing. I don't think you could have said that about the Chiefs last year or Ravens before. Cover 2 again. Yeah, CJ Minson's cover 2 a lot. It's actually crazy. Bo says best defense in the league, hands down. The offense just needs to play ball control and be opportunistic. We can win with the superpower. Yeah, superpower is the winner. It's been all year. Orhan says give DeMeco extension. Offense has to be elite. I don't think the offense is going to be elite. I think that's going to be his blind spot. New OC next year. We need to rebuild to be elite. I think they just need to improve the quality of the O-line. I actually like the wide receivers, and I like this array of backs. Neo says your confidence, CONFIDENTS, and CJ is shocked and should be with the play he has done the last 2 years. Do you believe CJ is the guy in the future? I don't have like an overwhelming amount of confidence in CJ. Off World says I need to drink my famous concoction. I will be drinking some Alka-Seltzer and Gatorade in a few minutes. And then we have Chicken Pho polarizing. You think the Texans offense is polarizing? Neo says Chicken Pho is good when sick. Off World says get the pho out of here. And then Jeremiah says pho is elite if you are sick. So there you go. Appreciate everyone for rolling through. Subscribe, like, right along. Always remember when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. I'm going to ice up. I'm going to enjoy tomorrow. I might gamble on some games. Who knows? But always remember when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. Sleeper. If you haven't gotten Sleeper yet, Sleeper app, promo code Locker. Put $5 in, turn it to 10. Enjoy it. Let me know how you feel about it. And maybe if you lose the 10, I'll find a way to refund you. Always remember when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. Appreciate y'all for rolling through. Reaction Monday going to be crazy. Playoffs, yes, they are a thing. I'm going to go find my phone now.
Playoffs?
Let's go.
If it's up, then it's up. We number one. You don't need to try your luck. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize, every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too.